This video is all about how I create my choreographies and how I prepare to perform them.
The most important thing, I think, is that you've chosen a really good track. And for me, that means something that really deeply excites me in some way. It might have sparked an interesting concept. It might have really good dynamic transitions that you can envision adding to with your movements for a really exciting routine. It might have a wonderful atmospheric mood that you feel you can work with. But whatever you choose, it should be something that you love. And I would suggest that a song that you've known for a longer time might be better than the latest pop hit that has just caught your attention. And also that ideally, I think it's great when it's something that's lesser known, because very popular songs come with a lot of baggage. Having said that, rules are meant to be broken. Sometimes the most well-known pop song might be the best fit for the show you want to produce and the audience you expect it to be seen by. I'm in the process of making a choreography to one of the most popular pop songs of all time. So yeah, I leave it up to you. The first step for me, once I know what music I'm using, is to brainstorm. I'll write down all the passages of the track, sometimes all of the lyrics if it has lyrics, and I'll think about what the mood of my performance will be. I'll make a broad plan for how the trajectory of the song will influence the movements. So how I will introduce the track, I'll identify any crescendos and also lulls in the music and think about what movements might best express those passages. It's a good idea to think about what your character in the performance will be expressing, be that the obvious themes of the song or something more personal to you or your concept. There should be something that you're expressing through your dance and which underpins all of your decisions as to which type of move will complement this show. So is it defiant feeling, like should your moves be strong ones? Is it sad? Should they be kind of soft and curled in, sensitive? Is it joyous? Should they be wild and playful? Or is it sensual? Should everything be very smooth and fluid? I'll play the track, ideally somewhere where I don't have any other distractions or I can just switch myself off from whatever else is going on around me. I'll close my eyes and just imagine myself performing to the song, just thinking about which actions might best reflect the passages of the song and taking notes. I will also incorporate listening to the song into my practice time, and for this I strongly recommend recording your practices, freestyling along to the song. Play that recording back, see which elements, if there are any happy accidents that work well or that can be tailored, what could be better. This can all help to trigger your imagination to find its way toward what will ultimately become the final choreography. Another key element for me is working really closely with the rhythm of the song. So particularly when there are strong kind of dynamic signatures, make sure that you're reflecting that in your actions and highlighting those moments, as that is naturally very exciting for the audience to see. Try to make use of every moment that you can to build on the character that you're creating. So if you need to transition from one pole to another, say, really work that into the routine itself. Don't just walk across the floor. Make sure that there are movements that are key to your character that will take you in a not so obvious way from one position to another. With each move, you might ask yourself, am I performing this in a textbook way? Could I tailor it? Could I adapt it in some way to more fully express my character? And remember that the spaces in between key moves are just as important as those showstoppers themselves. So take any opportunity that you can to add a little more personality, a little more detail. If I have an idea on a particular move that I can really see working well for a moment in the song, then I have the basis for a combo. I can think about which movements might lead into that shape and how I might then transition out again on the other side. Test the ideas that you have for these combinations as soon as possible so that you can establish whether the timing works, whether your strength is up to it as well. As always, film these practices. You may get little glimpses into gestures that work well or could be added in, and little ways that you can personalise or build on the character that you're expressing through your dance. You might see areas where things look a little bit more rushed than they ought to be, and where perhaps you could linger more or elaborate on the movements that you've already got by adding some kind of variation, and this will also help you occupy more of the song. So the more I'm practicing, the more I'm adding to my original plan. I'm finalising sections and then figuring out what I can do to patch in the remaining sections. I think that one of the main tips I would offer for crafting your routine is KISS. And I'm often having to remind myself of this one. Keep it simple, stupid. Less is usually more when it comes to a show. Watching someone hammer from move to move is not very pleasing, and watching someone struggle to execute what they've planned is also unsatisfying / nerve-wracking for an audience, so you really want to feel like you've boiled everything down to the essence of what it needs to be, as far as possible. It's very tempting to stick in the latest, toughest move in your repertoire, but ultimately it's much more satisfying for an audience to see less difficult moves performed with complete control and elegance than to see someone desperately clinging to the edge of their comfort zone. And I get why you want to do that. I've been there myself, I've done it. Learn from my mistakes, avoid that like the plague. It's not worth it, and it will compromise the quality of your dance. Remember that you can be a complete beginner and put on an absolutely captivating show. And by contrast, you can be very capable, very skilled, but put on an unsatisfying show. It really all hangs on your confidence in embodying what you're doing, having chosen movements which are comfortable for you to perform, and also your skill in weaving personality into what you're doing. And that doesn't have to mean being theatrical. It can be extremely subtle, and it can just rest on the quality of the movements themselves. Of course, once you feel like you've got your choreography planned, it's really important to run it through, and again to film this, to iron out any quirks that aren't quite working, to see where certain moves might be embellished with hand actions, head actions, little personalizations to really take your performance to the next level. Do perform as many of these practices as you're able in your costume. It's amazing how the specifics of your costume can affect your movements, and how unnerving it can feel to be in a show costume instead of your usual vest and shorts or whatever you tend to wear. You may find that parts of your costume need reinforcing or adapting in some way, and of course you'll learn where you need to put the tit tape. Very important. So the more practice you have of fully inhabiting this character, this costume, will really help your confidence going into a live performance or a video filming. I'll also take opportunities outside of practice sessions, and again in situations where you can just switch off to the outside world, whether you're alone in your room, whether you're on a train or a passenger in a car, just to close your eyes and imagine yourself performing the routine. This is the main way that I memorize the routine and also prepare myself psychologically for being in the space where I imagine I'll be performing the show. Sometimes in the earlier stages I'll have my list of moves in front of me just to remind myself of what's coming next. But of course, the more you practice, the more familiar you become. Hopefully the less you'll need that, and the more you can just rely on your memory and your imagination. Performing full run-throughs of the routine will also give you a chance to experiment with what happens if you do forget a move. When you're practicing, always try to imagine that this is showtime, that you're performing to a live audience, and that will help you get better at filling in any gaps, freestyling a little. If you're running ahead of yourself, slowing the next few moves down, or if you're running behind, just skipping a move or two. Remember that your audience doesn't know what you have planned, so it will only be very clear to them that you've messed up if you exhibit that. So always try to style out any errors. Don't be cursing, shaking your head. This will make your audience feel uncomfortable and nervous for you when they really might not otherwise have known that things hadn't gone according to plan. It's great to get the opinions of other trusted advisors, friends, tutors, either in person or with a recording. See what people's reactions are to what you've created, and if they have any insight into ways in which you might enhance what you're doing, or just to give you confidence that you're on the right track. Performing to others will also give you a sense of the pressure that doing so brings and help you to be better prepared come showtime.
I hope you found these tips useful. Do let me know in the comments if you have any questions or further suggestions, and best of luck.